playing Evgeny Kuligin in the first round, 2591. Here we go. All right, let's play that Budapest. Let's go. Let's go. It's our innovation. It's the Budapest-Graif Gambit. Thanks, great to have you here. So we're going to try and threaten queen takes f4 and queen takes b2. And we do. And very strong player, doesn't know of it, of course, because I made it up. You guys can check out my YouTube videos on this in the Budapest Gambit. Of course, the most common moves here are with like bishop c5 or bishop b4 check, and then queen e7 to just try and win back the pawn. Here we're going to gambit it. Queen d2, one of the more common ways to guard here and here. Pawn takes is now forced so that the queen stays on this. And in this position, I believe we just castle. Hitting the bishop. Okay. Took this. That's what I was thinking, actually. Do I need to play d6 first? But he's got greedy. If I play d6 now, I was thinking, so queen takes would lose the rook. Bishop takes after rook d8, c5. Very spicy line. Got a little greedy with the second pawn. Alright. And I guess if you ignore it, then maybe I can try to box that in. If you ignore it, then you're out of squares, so he doesn't ignore it. And I guess c5 is coming next, right? c5, I want to play b6 there. And the queen has a lot of important tasks way before this king is close to castling. e5 is a common idea to try to get some mate ideas. Could zigzag. I think we're going to stick with b6. And we're really using that. Let's see what we can do here. Oh my goodness, I didn't see that. Actually, wait. Maybe I did see that, and the point was I'm just like, the queen can't move. And maybe I'm not wrong. If you take my knight, I will take your rook, and that will be much worse. So the queen just comes back, yeah. Okay. Really acknowledging the mistake there. Looking good. Oh, take queen d2, they're fine. If I go rook d8, queen c5, it's more complicated than I need to make it, I think. Queen c6 could lose, but let's just put pressure on this a normal way. Example, like rook d7, rook d8. Okay, I'm going to play this move, bishop c4. Although, actually, if I trade off this bishop, then queen d5 check will come back. e3, it doesn't go for it. Or like actually here and here. Knight h6 to maybe hit that bishop. e4 wants to play e5. I have to trade this now. Can you throw that in? But then that check will come. King takes. I want to go knight f7 to both shield the check and hit the bishop, and I'm trying to win this pin. e5, I'm going to take it. I believe. Knight takes. Rook d6. So king takes f1, he wasn't able to castle. Still stuck in this pin, and I am down 2 pawns. But if I can get him on the pin, then I'm up. Oh, and I did get him on the pin. Okay, success. Now, the game of glass is off. We're up material. We just gotta not flag. I mean, looking good. We're up. Okay, he doesn't want to trade. But that would be a good trade for me, so let's trade things because we're up a piece. I think we're going to be getting the queens off here. That's good. Let's get even more. Actually, let's go here. Rook d3 was also very possible, but I'm happy to take that. So this can roll, but this should roll faster. Oh, I like this move, because that would be check. That would be check. Let's just go. Let's just go. I think, like, e-pawn I can stop. A-pawn, I don't know how they stop. Like, this is just controlled, for instance, but guarding any of these squares will prove difficult. In fact, I could ignore everything. Actually, no, let's just do this. Got him. Okay. Whew. Tough game. Wait, let's have a look at that one. That was an interesting game. And we got a very strong player with the Budapest-Graif Gambit. All right, let's request that computer analysis. All great lines are made up. Thank you, thank you. All right. This is interesting. It's still analyzing. I think the Licha servers, the stockfishes, I see this says stockfish 16, have gotten better, which means the analysis just takes longer because thinking about it. But all right, let's have a look at the beginning at least. So the opening I can talk about a little bit. So e5 is the Budapest Gambit, very common, and there's this Fedorovitz Gambit with an 84. Although the reason why I never recommended that is I believe the most common moves for white, just like castling, and they're kind of fine. Uh, I mean the same can kind of be said. So we attack this pawn. Oops, I'm sorry. They start with bishop f4. So, I mean, if at any point black just does something random, then after h3, if you can't come back knight takes e5, then you're going to be down not only the pawn, but a whole lot worse if you just have to do that. So you need to keep attacking this, and the logic in the mainline Budapest is just like give this check, queen e7, and then try to take it, and then black's like a tiny bit worse after they grab back the pawn. But the innovation in the Budapest-Graif Gambit is to play f6, hitting this pawn. Now when they take it, we play queen takes f6, and the most common move in the database is actually bishop all the way back to c1, where we have some very, very fun lines with check, with the double pawn sacrifice, with castles, with using all of our pieces really, really quickly, and white is quite far from castling. My opponent played the best move, queen d2, defending the bishop and the pawn, and we double these pawns, which is very important. We play bishop d4, take while the queen is still tied down here, so pawn takes c3, and castles, and my opponent... So actually here... Oh wow, it's still chugging along. So now we're hitting that bishop, and I believe, so the main line that I give in the video is e3. I think I probably also cover this, although I didn't actually remember it at the time. So e3 to protect the bishop, very logical. After which we want to play d6, we want to play knight e5, bishop e6, and at minimum, you should be getting this pawn back. Although, this is probably, I'd say, the best way for white to play. I think they dodged, I think, a lot of the tricks. I mean, there's more to come, but lots and lots of fun lines that you can check out in the original video. In the game, my opponent played this interesting move, bishop takes c7, and I'm kind of curious what the engine has to say about that. Oh, it is actually the best move. However, I play this tricky move d6, and bishop takes d6, again correct, and you guys can't see the engine, but it is spiking. Actually, I'll let you see it right now. It is spiking to 2.5 now, after they grabbed these pawns, which increased their pawn edge from 2 to 3. So I'm down 3 pawns, as you can count here. With d6, though, so the point is queen takes d6, I have to take c3, which would win the rook. And otherwise, this bishop is out of squares, and I'd be able to attack it if it can't fight its way out this way. So they play bishop c7, a little bit greedy, because they're going after some more pawns. They haven't moved this, and so they haven't been able to get their king out of the center. And that proved a big issue for them. So bishop takes d6, rook d8, we come with the pin, c5, b6. I'm curious where they went wrong. I mean, I'm sure, actually, queen d5 check here was a mistake, because bishop e6, and I don't know, arguably we both kind of missed this, but we're hitting the queen, and the queen can't take my knight because of the aforementioned problem on c3. So yes, queen d5 check was a huge error. You can see plus 2.4 becomes like minus 2 point something. So b6, what my opponent should have played looks like e4 to maybe be able to get another pawn to protect this bishop. Maybe rook d1, and then maybe they can finish their development and they'll be okay. Although this seems very similar to the game, but they were down a move in the game. Remember, they went queen d5 and queen d2. So let's go back to the game here. So queen d5 check, I just play here bishop e6, driving the queen back to d2, forced to protect c3, and now pawn takes c5. This pin is looking like a huge problem now with that bishop you know, very much in harm's way. If white were castled, then this would be a different story, right? They could probably just play rook d1 and queen f4 without much issue, but it now combines, it combines multiple issues for white. Like they can't play queen f4 because their king's in the center, and this check would be devastating, for instance. So rook d1, bishop c4 was a terrible move, apparently. What I needed to do was what I was also considering, which was rook d7 and just bringing my last piece into the game, which is a very logical thing to do if you're even a little bit uncertain, is look at your worst piece and see how you can activate that. And that's definitely this rook in this position. So rook d8, and then we put a lot of firepower down this file. I thought bishop c4 would be quite good because I guess rook d7 I was considering queen f4, but it's still not a good move. Bishop c4, I wanted to put more pressure on this bishop to prevent them from getting out of the way. So yeah, rook d7 actually was concerned about queen b2, if I do recall. So I didn't want to allow that. I wanted to put the pressure on this bishop so that, for example, like in bishop c4, queen b2 would hang the bishop in that position. I guess here, what's the move? Oh, it's just rook d8, and then this rook is pinned also, right? Because they don't have like another rook defending or something. So the bishop can't move because of that rook. So you can't get out of that pin when you have that much firepower. In the game, bishop c4, h3 drives my knight to potentially a very useful square, because after I trade these bishops after e4, my knight comes back to f7. h3 drove my knight back to f7, which was very useful for me because A, I shield against queen d5 check, which could otherwise win my knight, and B, of course, I'm attacking this bishop, and that's a huge problem, and they're just actually losing the piece. And they acknowledge with queen e3 that I can just take it. If e5, also I can just take this, and this pin is very, very helpful for me, and I'm just going to be eliminating that. So navigating this knight back to f7 was very helpful to eliminate the bishop. And then also, of course, the fact that they weren't castled and weren't able to cooperate proper defensive resources in the game. So queen e3, and then I just took this, and then I think we're just winning here. I think we just kind of converted this pretty well. We brought our pieces into the game. My opponent playing king g2 and g3, so finally getting that rook into the game, castling manually. But my pieces are very nice. I have no issues here. Queen d3, so takes. That would be an excellent trade. So we're able to swap the queens. Rook d2, very nice invasion. Stalling f4 a little bit. So my only concern really is that these pawns like really get going. But this stalls f4 because of this pin. So they get out of the way, but I take this pawn, and now I have my own pass pawn. You need a pass pawn to win endgames. All endgames are really eventually, one way or another, decided by pass pawns. So f4, knight here, rook d3, and I immediately just get cooking, or rook d2. I like that proposal. It prevents any annoying invasion. And of course, this trade is not one they're going to like with that fork coming, so they have to dodge it. And then here, like, okay, I could move my rook somewhere to threaten knight d2 check, but, like, as I said in the game, a5, no one's there to stop this a-pawn. So, like, they play, if they play here, like, e5, a4, e6, a3, like, this race isn't even close. Like, to dislodge this knight, you would need a lot, whereas, like, for example, if white were to arrange this, simple rook b2, rook b1 could end the game here. In the game, knight g2, tried to get this into the game and just try to like maneuver the rook around, but not nearly enough to stop this very powerful and well-supported a-pawn, because I have so many resources here. This knight now coming into b3 that helped decide the game. So yeah, I think that was a pretty nice way to display the importance of, I mean, it wasn't perfect by any means, but it was a very nice Budapest-Graif Gambit game, if I do say so myself, and demonstrated the importance of getting your king out of the center early and taking advantage of, pieces that are, okay, well, he went pawn fishing a little bit, and one way or another, he kind of paid the price for that before he was able to castle. So, thanks. Subscribe if that goes on YouTube. I like that one.